Hello, everyone, and welcome to the That Being Said podcast with JAA. I am your host, the here and now of podcasting, JAA. God bless you wherever you are. Sending my love, my good vibes, and lots of energy to you today. Last week on the show, we had Vin J on in an interview, and we talked about his new album, Prophecy, that is out today. And this is a physical copy of the Prophecy album. And man, it came out awesome. And the music itself on it is awesome. We talked about the song Don't Do It. There's a music video dropping for Don't Do It in the next couple of days, which is a deep song that talks about the topic of suicide, encouraging people not to do it. And speaking of that, it was very apropos that connected with the theme of cyberbullying last week. We dedicated last week's episode to the memory of Hana Kimura after her tragic passing, her suicide as a result of cyberbullying. I encourage the listeners to really try to be more wary about how we use social media. It was the first time that I have ever publicly spoken about having a cutting issue as a teen, and that wasn't easy for me to talk about. But the outpouring of love and support, people reaching out, and just people telling me that, hey, and telling me their stories and saying, hey, you know, I didn't know that you went through that, and I'm going through this. It fulfilled its purpose. I'll definitely say that. All of my reservations about putting that out there went away immediately when I received that response. So I want people to know that they're not alone. You're never alone. You're never alone. The Prophecy album is out on both physical copies. I don't know how many he has left or if he has any left by the time this airs, but I'll have a link for that, as well as on Spotify and Apple. It came out at midnight. So be sure to support Vin J, support our fellow artists, and support independent music as a whole, and grab that. On a community calendar for this week, We Scheme dropped a song called Rock the Bed. It's a song about mental illness and abuse, but only as We Scheme could do. And this is his description, not mine, but he put out this song about mental illness and abuse that bumps like a club banger. Check it out. Very interesting, but like many of Scheme's songs, much deeper meaning to it. I want to shout out Carly X. Man, since the YouTube Cypher 3, when she started with 9 subscribers, she's come a long way in a month, and she's actually going to be a guest on the show in the coming weeks. But she dropped a remix to Drake's Pain 1993 called Pain 99. She did an awesome job on that song, so check that out. Screwface Jean in 6 Seconds dropped a song called Stop Frontin'. There's no music video for it. I think they're Gundams, though, in the video that they did drop. It's like them like looking like Gundams. I don't know, but badass, great song. Show them some love. Young Dub of the Dab Gods dropped the Forsaken EP. That's out now. That's available now. Definitely give that a listen. Last night, Jay Williams and Swizz dropped a song called People Talk that came out at midnight. So go stream that and show him some love. Jay Williams, good friend of mine. Great artist, up and coming. This past week, obviously we mentioned Vin J's Prophecy album released last night. So show some love to that. KSI's Dissimulation album released last week, and it's been competing for the #1 spot. The whole joke is that he said he would shave his head if it reached #1, and people have been pushing hard. I don't even think just to see him shave his head. I think that that's like a fun side thing, but people really have been showing love and support for KSI. He's breaking down walls and barriers like nobody else has, as far as people who have used YouTube as their platform in artistry, and just he's hit that mainstream level, and props to you, JJ, for doing that. You've broken down the walls for everybody, and I have nothing but respect for you for that. Lex Bratcher, who's also a future guest on this show, is dropping this Sunday, May 31st, her Thanks for Waiting EP. I'm really looking forward to this. I know Crip's a feature on one of the songs on it. Lex is extremely talented. She's been shouted out by Tech9 on Instagram Lives. People know who Lex Bratcher is, and she's an awesome artist. I'm really looking forward to this release. I think it's her first official release. I think throughout the month, she's been releasing a song every 30 days of May, trying to do a song a day. Her Twitter is definitely one to keep your eye on for all the cool projects she does. So shout out to you, Lex. My boy Blake G, who's been on the show, released a music video for his song Death Row. That's available to check out now on his YouTube page. It's BL8KEG. I know that Crypt and Joey Nato reacted to YouTube Cypher 3 remixes. So they said if their video reacting to remixes reached 2,000 likes, they were going to do a part 2 and react to more. So I encourage you to slap a like button on that and encourage the boys to do another part. I was lucky enough to get featured on that part, and it was really cool that they showed me some love. Funny story is that something happened with the recording, so they reacted to me in books at the end. The original reaction did not make it in the video, and they laughed about it, and they did show my song and give some thoughts, and I appreciate the constructive criticism from my friends, and I appreciate you guys for that. And I know that Reaper and It's a Rap Yo released merch this week, so let's show them some love and show anybody in the community some love who's released merchandise recently. I think that it's really important to support these artists in any way we can. When people do like these live streams on YouTube and we try to donate, I know YouTube takes a big portion of that, and these streaming services take a portion. So I think merchandise is one of the most direct ways that we can support artists. And I wanted to talk really quickly before my interview with Joey Nato begins is on the topic of physical media. One of the biggest changes in the world is digital media has become bigger and bigger. Artists release songs on Spotify, on SoundCloud, on YouTube, all these different platforms digitally. And physical media is becoming less and less. People are streaming their movies on Netflix, Hulu, etc., and not necessarily buying DVDs and Blu-rays like they were. I encourage people to continue to support physical media, and this is why. Not only is it good for the artist to sell, obviously, more records, but one thing we see is that these companies have the ability to take off albums you've purchased, a movie you've purchased. If there's some kind of disagreement between them and, let's say, the distributing company or a change in the deal, you could have paid for something and now it's off of your library. So did you really buy it? It's like you rented it for a long period of time. If they have the power to just take it away, I don't know. That scares me. That absolutely scares me. I like buying physical CDs of artists, independent artists. I like buying people's t-shirts. I like buying DVDs of films and concerts that I like. I think that it's important that we keep this alive, because what we're essentially doing is putting more and more power in the hands of these distributors as opposed to the people releasing this music, releasing these films. It's a responsibility we have to take as consumers. Does it cost more? In a lot of cases, yeah, because we're buying it on a one-by-one basis. But it's important. It's important that we keep physical media alive. If it were up to these companies, they'd kill all physical media altogether and just run everything on streaming, because it puts more power in their hands. It's one of those things, too, where just one generation under me, some of them don't even know what it's like to own CDs or to own DVDs. And that's very strange to me, because just 10 years ago, very commonplace. And now it's becoming less and less common. So again, it's up to us, the consumers, to keep that alive. So I didn't want to go on too long. I do want to introduce, by the way, my co-host over here. This is Lampy the Lamp. And yeah, Fire, he ain't going nowhere. Yes, I didn't introduce him last week, but everybody, yes, I said last week. This is Lampy the Lamp. This is my co-host of the show. Lampy's my buddy, and Lampy ain't going anywhere. So I just had to introduce Lampy the Lamp. Say hello, Lampy. Hey, watch your mouth when you're talking to my audience. I'm sorry, everybody. Lampy can be a little bit mouthy at times. So that's Lampy. That being said, I talked to Joey Nato, lucky boy Joey Nato. He's on the podcast today. We had a great interview, and we talk about YouTube Cyphers, his beginning in music, and a lot of other things. A big shout out to Joey. Him and I got to know each other about a year ago. He did a reaction to Unstoppable for me, Jekyll, and 10K, which was really cool because he never really reacts to smaller artists. So that really was so cool to see that. He's made beats for me. He's made the new theme song for this show. That being said, podcast. Shout out to Joey for the new theme song. Thumbs up if you like the new theme song of the show. He's just generally always been very supportive of everything I've done since we've met. And he's always given me advice. He's also busted my balls from the very beginning about getting things done. And I gave Vinjay a lot of props when we talked last week. But it all goes back, and this comes up in this interview tonight, to Crypt's show on March 4th in Brooklyn, when me, Vin, Joey, and Crypt were all hanging out. Joey looked at me and he said, "Are you motivated tonight? After tonight, are you motivated?" And I looked at him and said, yeah, I am. And that comes up in the interview. But that, as well as my conversation with Vin, as well as just seeing Crypt and just being with everybody that night, it really inspired me, and it's why we're here doing this show every week. So mad love to you, Joey. You're a good friend. I appreciate you, man. And look, if I didn't have you busting my chops, I may not be doing this now. So who's on the That Being Said podcast? Nato. Here's my interview with Joey Nato. All right, I'm here right now, and I don't know how else to introduce my next guest but to say, who's on the That Being Said podcast? Nato. What's going on, Joey? How are you?
That was appropriate. I'm good. I'm just working a lot. My sleep schedule has finally somewhat normalized compared to what it was when the lockdown started. It was pretty crazy, and I was all over the place playing a lot of video games, but now I'm back to work, so I'm doing good. I'm in a good place.
Oh, that's awesome, man. You know what? I found out you're a big Final Fantasy VII fan. You've been playing Remake?
I haven't been playing the new one because I have an Xbox, but the old one, I revisited it. Once I found out that they had it for Xbox, the old one, I just jumped on that, and I've been playing the version from 1997 or whatever it was. I've been playing that like a lot more than any other game, so that's been nostalgic for me.
Oh yeah,
I
no,
love
Final Fantasy in general, man, they were nailing it in the 90s. And did you ever see Advent Children, the movie that followed it up?
I started it actually the other day. Well, not the other day, but like a couple weeks ago, and I didn't get through the whole thing. But it was cool. I thought it was cool just to see those characters like that I'm used to being like basically flat, and seeing them like, you know, in like movie form and stuff. I thought it was pretty cool. A lot of people complained about it, but I thought it was cool.
Yeah, same thing, because like they're all disfigured looking in the game. So like when you see them all like perfectly animated, it's pretty badass, you know?
Yeah, and with a voice. Because you never hear their voices, you got to imagine what their voices are. Use your imagination in the original game. So it's interesting to hear them with a voice too.
That's such a good point, and I think that's like one of those things that like we forget, like how lucky we are in this day and age. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. So we're definitely spoiled when it comes to anything technology related, but it creates opportunities. So I'm not complaining.
Yeah, right? Well, in your position as a producer, too, I think technology is more than a good thing, right? And it makes your life a lot easier on that end.
Yeah, I can't do anything without the technology. I mean, I play the saxophone. That's the only thing I could think of that I could do musically without the technology, and that would mean I would be in the streets playing saxophone with my case open, hoping people fling a $1 or $2 in there.
Oh
and
my gosh.
I'm not about that life, so.
Oh, that would be interesting, right?
Yeah, I don't want to go to that.
When did you start playing music, man? I mean, and when did you pick up sax? Just a side note, when did you pick up sax? But in general, when did you start playing music and performing?
The earliest thing I could think of is either, I think it was 4th grade. I started playing the saxophone, and that was, I think, the earliest that I did anything. I mean, shortly after that, I started taking keyboard lessons that luckily my parents paid for me to do, like around the corner from where I lived, and that was pretty essential, I think. In 6th grade, they bought me a keyboard, and that was the only thing they've ever bought me music-wise, besides my saxophone and my keyboard lessons. But yeah, they bought me a keyboard, a Yamaha keyboard, and I started making beats on that. That's when the beat making started, because it had 6 tracks on it, so you could play something on the keyboard, record it, and then it'll play it back for you, and you like record over another track, so you could add the drums and then add whatever. And that was pretty much the beginning right there. But I think it all started with the saxophone, to be completely honest, in 4th grade.
Oh, man. And you know what? That's interesting, too, because I feel like there's always a base, right, to anything that we get into. But for you guys on the producer end of things, there's a musicianship that's so different, and it's the way that you guys hear songs is a lot different. But I like hearing where your base was in something like that. And you started making beats early on. What really got you interested in doing that, as opposed to maybe, let's say, playing guitar or just, maybe singing off the bat, that kind of thing?
Well, guitar wasn't even something that really crossed my mind too much or anything like that. But so in 5th grade, I started like recording songs because my brother was rapping a lot in his school, and he would walk around with a big book of raps, and he would just rap for people in the hallway and stuff like that. And I was kind of like, oh, I want to try that too. So then I started writing my own raps, and of course they were awful, but when I started writing actual songs, I would literally sing these songs on a tape recorder in my basement, and then bring them into school and show them to people at lunch, and they would just laugh or whatever about it. And then but then in 6th grade, so I guess 4th to 6th grade was like the era for me when it all like got kicked off.
The basis.
I joined forces with somebody else that wanted to rap in my school, and he basically became my best friend at the time. And yeah, we needed someone to make the beats, and that I was the one with the keyboard, so that had to be me. So that's kind of how I just took on the role, because someone had to do it out of us two, and he didn't do it, so I did it. And then even like, I think it was 6th grade or 7th grade, my music teacher in my school actually introduced me to the program that I still use today to make beats, which is Propellerhead Reason. I still remember him telling me, he was like, yeah, I'm really excited. There's this software where you could make beats in the computer software and stuff like that. I was like, oh, that sounds insane. Like, imagine how many different possibilities there are with that. And that was kind of how it started. Like on lunch, I would skip lunch period and instead go there to make beats with my music teacher on a computer, and that's how it kind of unfolded. But yeah, someone had to make the beats, and I was the one with the keyboard, so it kind of just got thrown to the wolves, per se.
Nice. And you picked it up from there. And I remember when we were talking too, you talked about how you would do songs like back in the day, but I think that's really cool how in a lot of ways you're still at your roots, right? Using the same kind of programming and just building off of that and building off of that. So when did you start like putting out songs? Like that's my question, because I remember even like on the Cypher, for example, a lot of people know that line, when I put my first song online, that whatever the line was. When did you start actually putting out songs for people to hear?
Yeah, and the line was, damn, trying to remember.
Yeah,
Let me take it back a couple of years. Something. Wow, I'm drawing a blank. But basically, it's when you still had to type in YouTube.com,
yeah,
as opposed to now, where you either have it as an app on your phone, or when you type in Y in your browser, it will know that you want to, or it will guess that you want to type in YouTube, and the whole YouTube will come up as an option for you to just click, as opposed to, having to type the entire website name.
Yeah, it was,
for it to
as a
come up.
matter of fact, like 9. Yeah, 9 years. That was the other like reference there. All right,
Oh,
I drew a blank
okay,
too, bro.
okay. That's it. Damn, you know my lyrics better than me. That's crazy. Yeah, this, oh man, when is the first time I put out a song? I know that I was recording songs in like 6th grade, 7th grade, because I was recording them even with my music teacher after we made the terrible beats during that time with the program he introduced to us. But as far as like putting them on like MySpace and stuff, which is definitely probably the first platform that I put it on, it had to be like 8th grade or 9th grade, I would say, most likely. It couldn't have been any later than freshman year of high school.
MySpace blew it, bro, because I think they had a great foundation for musicians, and for a while there, that was the spot to be. If you were a band, if you were, a DJ, that kind of thing, people would find you on MySpace back in the day. They really blew it, man.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with that, and it's funny because there's a video that popped up in my recommended on YouTube recently saying, "This is what killed MySpace, parentheses, it wasn't Facebook." So I'm kind of curious to look at that video to see that person's thoughts on that. But yeah, I don't know. That was how people in my school learned about me making music and stuff like that, which is important and something I wish I like took a little bit more seriously back then. But unfortunately, I got too caught up in trying to get with girls that didn't even want me in the first place.
Oh,
but I was too stubborn to understand that.
Oh, high school shit, man.
Yeah, those are the high school mistakes that I made, unfortunately. But yeah, MySpace was the beginning of it all, man. I would say like freshman year is when I started putting out songs. I wish I knew what the first song I put out was, but I'm pretty sure it was just a bunch of raps over like industry beats and stuff like that, because those used to be everywhere online. You could find industry beats easily for like G-Unit songs, Dipset songs, all those. So yeah, me and my friends would like make raps for them and then put them on MySpace or whatever, try to be cool, thinking we sounded amazing, but I can't even listen to them now. So,
oh my gosh, yeah, no, it's definitely like cringe territory. Even when I listen to like my old metal stuff, I'm like, oh boy, who the fuck is that singing? You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. But that's all part of the process.
Yeah, it is. And just hearing you say G-Unit, man, it's funny because we're not like old cats in any way whatsoever. We're still young dudes. But this like generation, I'll bring up like G-Unit. They're like, who the fuck is G-Unit? I'm like, bro, are you kidding me? You know what I mean? They've never heard like Stunt 101 and shit.
Yeah, that's crazy. Because they were all over the TVs, all over the radio. Like you couldn't escape them.
Oh, G-Unit sneakers, bro. Like, they were everywhere. Like, everywhere. If you had G-Unit sneakers, you were the shit.
Yeah. And, of course, I never had any. But yeah.
I don't know. I always faked like I was going to get them and never could, right?
Yeah, that was probably my mistake. I probably could have got with these girls if I had the damn G-Unit sneakers. But, oh, well, missed opportunity. Like an idiot, I spent the money on music equipment and stuff.
That's fucking funny. Oh, shit. When do you think that it got more serious for you, producing and just putting out music? Because obviously, I think people have seen you more in the last 2 years, your rise, and, with Music Producer Reacts and that kind of thing. But it goes back a little further than that. When do you think it got more serious for you, and why do you think you made that change?
Yeah, I guess the answer for that is probably, well, in 2007, I think it was, I made my first album that like I actually made money from. And that was, I was working at a grocery store and I wanted to work on the album and I didn't have much time because I was working at this grocery store while in high school. And then I was like, you know what? I think I'm just going to quit just to work on this album. And I think that was kind of when I started to really more take it serious and stuff like that, like have the sleepless nights working on it. And yeah, that's the main thing I could think of. For a lot of years, I was kind of caught up helping my friends record and like doing stuff with my friends and recording my friends, and always having in the back of my head, like, what would happen if I, abandoned all this and just really focused on myself and my own work and my own brand and stuff like that. But I just could never bring myself to do it, like to stop helping everybody else and just help myself. I couldn't bring myself to do that. And then 2011, 2012, that's when I like started making more albums with just myself, and then started to realize like, okay, this is probably the best thing for me. And I think 2012 specifically is when I started working with a designated group of friends that like legit were dropping everything just to work with me. And then we like soon ended up moving to LA together to really try to push things and all stuff like that. So I guess the answer is when I really got serious was probably like 2011, 2012, I would say.
Oh man, how long were you in LA for? That's pretty cool. That's a little tidbit of information I don't think a lot of people know.
Yeah, I mentioned it a lot in like lyrics here and there, but it's like I was there for a year, or maybe a little bit more than a year collectively, because I moved there, felt really sick at one point when I was there, decided to move back home, and then that was terrible the whole time I was back home. And then my whole goal the whole time when I was home was to go back to LA again. So then I moved back there again, but then had fallout like with roommates and stuff, and my living situation ended up not working out. And then I just kind of spontaneously drove back home again. So I lived out there twice, and collectively it was for a little over a year. So it wasn't that long, but it felt like a long time. Felt like I was there for years.
Well, it's wild because it's almost like you're where you need to be, because if I look at the situation you have now and the way that you're working now, you're working with people all over the country from right where you're at. And I think that's a really cool thing,
Yeah. And, people were in my ear all this time saying, oh, if you want to do this for a career, you got to be in LA. You got to be in New York City. You got to be in Nashville. You got to be here, there. And ever since I moved back home the second time and kind of just figured out how to work smarter, it pretty much just, took care of itself from there. But, and I got to credit that to, mentorship that I got from people and stuff. It's not like I just figured everything out on my own, but the point is I'm doing it from where I want to be, which is right here in Connecticut. I guess there's a possibility I could go back to LA again one day, but the situation would have to be amazing for me to do that.
Yeah, if the right circumstance comes up. But right where you're at, there's definitely beauty to it. I mean, you're really close to New York. You're really close to Nashville. Like, they're all driving distance from you, where you're at. East Coast has a lot of advantages, man, that are unique to its own, just as obviously the West Coast does. But the East Coast definitely has a lot of advantages, especially if you ever wanted to do like an East Coast tour. I've done a few East Coast United States tours myself, and there's a lot of really great venues and markets along the coast. And I think that on the right tour, man, it would be really cool to see you performing, and if it was the right bill of people, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, the East Coast, another good thing the East Coast has going for it, especially the tri-state area, is colleges. Like, there's colleges everywhere, and that's how I originally started promoting myself. Once I like hooked up with like my designated team or whatever, is going to colleges with a bunch of mixtapes in hand to hand out, of course, and then a shirt. I would be wearing a shirt that said "Ask Me to Rap" on the shirt, and a lot of people weren't really biting on it to like ask me to rap, but and this would like really give me anxiety. Still does even thinking about it, because you know I have some kind of like little phobia for like people or social situations. But basically, I had to start going up to people and just rapping for them at these colleges, like out of the blue. That was pretty nerve wracking, but we filmed a lot of it, and there's a lot of that still on my YouTube channel. The episodes are called Ask Me to Rap. And yeah, that was but we were able to do that because of the location that we're at. There's just a lot of colleges around here, and that just goes back to what you say about the benefits of being on the East Coast.
That, you know what, that's really creative approach as well, and I think that that's actually a lesson to some of the younger artists that listen to the show, because you have to be creative and you have to come up with different ways to reach people. So the people that you rap for example, that went to whatever it was, let's just say your YouTube or your Twitter, they followed you that day, they're not going to forget you from that moment, right? And that personal interaction. And hopefully, you know, it's a number of interactions. But when you go out into the world, like the real world, because not all the work is online. I think that's a misconception a lot of artists have, is that it's all online, and it's not. I think that they have to be creative, though, and try to stand out by doing different things like that. So I definitely think that was a really cool approach.
Yeah, it wasn't my idea. It was my friend Zach's idea, who was kind of playing the role of my manager, sort of, but not really. Yeah, I guess we could just call him like my manager at the time.
Like the idea guy.
Yeah, I don't know how he came up with this idea, but it was really smart, and it probably would have been even more effective if he found somebody that wasn't too scared to, you know, do it more. I mean, I never really ducked out of any times to do it. Like I always got through it, but I just felt sick to my stomach every time I did it.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're not even mainstream artists now. They're going out and about and like doing like showing up at random places and stuff for promotion and stuff like that. So it's like it's a real thing. Like people are still out and about doing it. You know, with the YouTube approach, it kind of fits my personality a little better, because I don't like doing that stuff that much. But there's definitely a lot of benefits to still going out into the quote unquote real world and you know, promoting yourself that way.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I was going to say, it was a learning experience, if anything else, because, you know, as you're growing, Joey, I think that there is an interest, for example, of people to see you perform in the near future. I think that would be a really great thing. It's the second time I'm bringing it up. Wink, wink, right? But I think that it would be awesome, man, for your fans to see you perform down the line. I think that, like, moments like that are learning experiences along the way.
Yeah, no, and that's not something I'm opposed to at all. I would definitely do, you know, a performance or anything under the right conditions. But yeah, I think that would just be fun for me at that point. I don't even know if that would feel like work. I mean, I've performed a lot in the past, like a lot, but yeah, I don't know. I guess I would just need to make sure if I do it, I would be doing it the right way.
Yeah.
With something like that, because I've done it the wrong way so many times.
Oh, absolutely, brother.
Yeah. I don't want to just fall in the same trap that I was in years ago when I got on stage and was just jumping around like a maniac, not knowing what the hell I was doing. I would want to have some kind of structure.
Oh, man, I guess we're soul brothers, man. That was me in my early metal days, man. I tried to run around like a fucking maniac thinking that was getting the crowd to interact, but then you learn, you know, over time that it's about having them connect to you when you're performing, and then once they're engaged, That's it, you got it. But it takes a while to figure that out.
Yeah. So it would, if I was to, you know, get in that mode, it'd be something that I would take seriously, and I wouldn't want it to be just one show and that'd be it, you know. I would want to have a string of shows, and
that's what I figured.
Have something ironed out. Probably would need some kind of manager involved to really pull that off the right way, so that way I don't have to worry about all the booking and stuff like that. But yeah,
it's possible to do it by yourself, but it could be a fucking nightmare trying to do the booking, trying to make sure that you got the right deals at each venue. And I've done that before, where we booked our own tour throughout New York all the way up through Vermont, and man, we got through it. But bro, some of those bars were fucking brutal, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm sure. Because, a lot of people see like the word tour and immediately think it's like something glamorous. But or some of those places that you go to isn't ideal tour like situations that people may think.
Oh yeah,
So,
or they don't have fucking
yeah.
half the equipment you need and shit. Oh man, yeah, you're right. I've seen it.
Yeah, so it's that'd be a whole nother beast for me to tackle. But if I do like an album, like a real full-length album or something, then that would probably be the right move at that time.
I was gonna ask you, have you been thinking about putting together an album? I mean, obviously, if you wanted to right now, you could put together like a collective album of some of your songs that have been out the last year. So, have you considered that?
Yeah, it's that used to be my only focus as an artist, is making albums, and I think I probably have like 7 unfinished albums sitting around, but but now I kind of, because I've leveled up musically, so now those songs don't really meet my standards, so they just, as those songs just sit there, they just get older and older, and I'm just like, I'm not really feeling this as much anymore. So now it would be something that I would definitely do from scratch with an actual concept and stuff like that. But one thing I'm doing soon, probably within the next 2 weeks at some point, I just need to mentally prepare myself to do it, is I'm making an album in a day, kind of just as an experiment.
I saw you tweet about that.
I tweeted about it, saying, having people give me the song titles for the album, but I make a song. I can make a song in an hour. I've done that multiple times on YouTube videos, so I know I could do it. And I've done it plenty of times off YouTube videos. Like, I literally set a timer and I make the beat, come up with the lyrics, record the vocals, do everything within an hour. So I feel like making a whole album in a day is feasible if I do that 10 times in a row. So. That's the next album per se that I'm doing, but I wouldn't consider that like a real album, unless it comes out
like
crazy.
Creative. I've been sitting on this for a while. This is like my vision kind of album.
Yeah, exactly. Where I'm like talking about like deep stories or like my past and things I went through and stuff like that. Like, I'm just hoping this one just turns out to be just music that's somewhat listenable, but. Yeah, my album, I would want it to be something real special. Like, this is how I want to be. This is what I want to be known for.
Tales from Connecticut.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll definitely be shouting out Connecticut, top of my lungs on that.
Oh, fuck yeah. No, it would be like the counterpiece, We had Tales from the Crypt last year that you produced in part, and then we'll have Tales from Connecticut. It'll be like the duo album,
Tales
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can assure everybody that will not be the name of my album, Tales from Connecticut. That's funny.
Oh, man. It came to mind. I had to spurt it out, though.
No, it's all good.
But, speaking of Crypt, obviously you guys have been working together a lot lately with this new podcast, Papa Do Podcast. Congratulations, first and foremost, on the success of that.
Yeah, it's off to a good start. We definitely had a head start because Crypt already had an established channel, his second channel, to put the podcast on, to promote it on YouTube. So that's good. On Spotify, it's starting off, pretty small numbers, but that's humbling, and that gives us the hunger to, make it grow and stuff like that. Because you can make more money off Spotify than on YouTube, for sure.
Especially with these podcasts.
Yeah. But yeah, it's funny the way that came about, because I did a video on my channel just to promote the album that me and Crypt did. And then
When the Sky Turns Red, ladies and gentlemen, you can order it right now on iTunes or Spotify. All right, sorry, Joey, just plugging you.
Nah, it's all good. Yeah, it's called When the Sky Turns Red. But yeah, that's the Q&A that we did, where we were just going back and forth. People watched the video and then they were like, you guys need to do a podcast. Please do a podcast. There was just a lot of podcast requests. And doing a podcast is something I always thought about doing because it seemed, well, first of all, Gary Vee always talks about it. I don't know if you follow Gary Vee at all.
Yeah, I keep my eye on what he's doing.
Yeah, so like he just always talks about it. And I was like, yeah, I should probably do that because I have a microphone and I could talk for a long time, I think. Isn't that pretty much what a podcast, consists of? So this just seemed like the right opportunity. And then me and Crip didn't really talk about it. Like a week later, I just called him up and I was like, yo, you want to do a podcast? He was like, yeah. Like he answered as if he was expecting me to ask the question. He was just waiting for me to ask it or something. And yeah, so that's working out well.
Oh, that's dope, man. I had been kind of putting this one together for about 4 months before it really, came out. I had spoken to a lot of artists way ahead of time about being on. Obviously, you yourself as well. I remember one of my boys hitting me up and he's like, yo, man, Joey and Crypt are dropping a podcast like a week before yours comes out. And I was like, that's fucking awesome. He's like, you ain't nervous? I'm like, what the fuck am I nervous about? I was like, that is fucking awesome. I was like, I said, I'm friends with both of them. That shit is going to be entertaining week to week. I said, you know what? That's fucking great. And you know what? The more the merrier, because the whole point of this podcast was try to put a little more spotlight on this little, underground scene that's been growing. You know what I'm saying? And I think that you guys with your bigger names, that helps highlight it as well. And, you guys are keeping the topics and the artists in it relevant. And I appreciate you guys for doing that.
Yeah. I think, I listen to your podcasts and stuff. So, I mean, we have very different styles. We cover different things. I mean, we kind of both talk for now mainly about like the YouTube scene and stuff like that. But somehow we still both talk about different things, which is definitely dope. I think, I think the advantage that you have is you have the voice for this. Like, you just have that, like, I don't know, you have that edginess in your voice, like that raspiness in your voice. I'm a producer, so I catch on things like this. And, I think that makes listening to you even more appealing. So, yeah, I think you got definitely a good foundation for what you're doing and stuff like that. It is definitely a coincidence that we all started at the same time, though.
Oh, what a blessing, too, though, man. And you know what? The time's right, especially with, like, Corona and all that, keeping us inside. It was kind of bound to happen, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. This is a lot of this, me and Crypt working together on certain things, including this podcast, is not a coincidence that it was done at this time. It's like people want long-form content right now more than ever. Just videos that are long, content that's long, things that, could keep people distracted for long periods of time. So it just kind of makes a lot of sense.
Oh, yeah. Now, we're just coming off of the YouTube Cypher 3, and I just wanted to ask you just a little bit about it. So what's the process like for you? So, I mean, when you're going in and you're creating these beats for these ciphers, because obviously you've seen how big it's become. It's become a community event, People are ready for it each and every time they drop. So I assume that there's somewhat of a pressure, but then again, there may not be because this is so normal for you to make beats. But that's why I wanted to ask you, what's your mindset, man, going into making these ciphers at this point? Obviously when you made the first one, nobody knew what it was going to become, right? But now at this point, what is it like? Maybe let me know what it was like then versus now. I think that's what I'm trying to say.
Well, when it first came about, Crip just said, yo, I'm just doing this thing where I, get like 10 rappers together to do like a cypher type thing. I was like, oh, that sounds fun. That sounds dope. And he was like, I want you to produce it. I was like, okay. And he kind of just gave me an example of what he wanted and just kind of described what he wanted. And I just made it for him. And luckily I got it right on the first try. And then he was on board for it, and he was kind of blown away that I, quote unquote, read his mind or gave him exactly what he was looking for or whatever. I was like, yeah, that's probably not true, but okay, thanks for the kind words. And then, the second time around, gave me another example of a beat, and it was more boom bap style. So then I just kind of followed that and just made that. The second beat he almost rejected, actually. which is a common theme with Crypt. You make a beat for him, and he makes you feel like the worst producer known to man. Then he wakes up the next day saying, "No, yo, I don't know what I was thinking. That was dope." But so that's what happened with that. And then the third one, now he hit me up and said, "Yo, people like the second beat so much for Cypher 2. Let's just do something similar for Cypher 3." And then honestly, it just boils down now to just making sure Crypt is happy, because at the end of the day, this is the Crypt YouTube Cypher.
Exactly.
So you gotta, and that's a producer's job. That's a music engineer's job. That's a producer's job, is making sure that the artist, the client, whatever, making sure they're happy. Because, you know, for these Cypher beats, these aren't probably what I would choose for the beats, but this is all about what Crypt wants, because it's his. And, you know, maybe we have a rapport now to a point where I could probably have a little bit more say in it and be like, yo, I don't know if this is the right style for this. Like, maybe we should try something else. But for now, it's just about, you know, making sure he was happy with the type of beats that I was making. And beats are beats. So that you know, that's the least stressful part, probably, is making the beat. That's probably the most fun part about the whole process, because everything else is pretty tiring.
Yeah, absolutely. And waiting for everyone to send in their verse and trying to coordinate all that, you know, on the producer's end. I can only imagine what that's like, lining every single verse up and making it like work, you know?
Yeah, luckily Crypt does the lining up part and you know,
God
puts
bless
everything in order and then sends it over to me. But then when it comes down to mixing everybody's vocals, and for anybody listening who doesn't know what mixing is, damn, I just dug myself a hole, because I don't even know how to describe it. It's basically making everything sound good, making everything sound like levelly correct in terms of like volume, and making sure everybody sounds clear, and basically trying to make it sound like everybody recorded everything in the same studio, 12 different people or whatever it is. So it's man, it's crazy. And it's usually last minute too. Like, every time I've mixed a Cypher, I've had to like stay up the whole night and get it done that night, because it has to be done like a week ahead of time or so. So that way it's available on Spotify and stuff by the time the Cypher rolls out.
Wow.
So yeah.
No, that's the thing, is I do want listeners also to understand, like, there's so much that goes into things like this Cypher, and, you know, even the young artists, you know, and we... Obviously, there's always talk about people who get disappointed about being, maybe feeling left out when they're not on like the Cypher, but so much goes into it, and I don't think that a lot of artists realize just how much work goes into it. But on your end, so imagine Crypt's end as well. So I always try to consider that, what it's like for you guys dealing with all those different factors, especially leading up to it, and it's got to be a nightmare to a degree, you know?
Yeah, for Crypt, it's got to be, because he has to deal with the communication of everything. Like, for me, I'm just behind the scenes doing the music stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I got it easy compared to him, compared to, like, you know, if people complain, they're complaining straight to him or whatever. But man, it's a lot, because even when we think it's done, he still, I don't know why he does this. Well, I guess it's important to do this, but he runs it by everybody on the Cypher to make sure they're happy with their part, making sure they're happy with how they sound on their part and stuff like that. And that, oh my God, I would lose my mind at that point.
Oh, yeah, because now you got, 11 to 13 artists that have to sign off on it. Yeah, it just sounds like, you know, smash your head in the wall kind of fucking frustration. God bless them for doing it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I know, it's crazy. I mean, he gave me, like, a big opportunity by putting me on the first one. So I know how it feels to be part of something like that. I think I had a little bit more shine just because I produced the beat too, and, you know, did like extra work besides just being an artist on there. But regardless, I'm just grateful that, you know, he kept me in the process from the first one all the way to now. So,
well, it gave you a catchphrase, right, that you'll hold on to for the rest of your career.
Yeah, I know. It is something that you know what it was? I was like, okay, he's probably going to credit me in like maybe the description of the video or something. But let me just throw this in here in the beginning just to let people know that I'm the one who made this beat. Like, you're about to hear this 10-minute cypher.
Yeah.
And I'm the one who made the beat. So let me just let people know really quick,
Oh, no, it's
and
great. It's very memorable
that was
line.
It. I don't know why. I still don't really get it, but I kind of just roll with it now. But I don't get why it's so memorable in in our community, at least. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, listen, bro. I paid the other day. I paid $15 in the form of 5 different donations to make puns off of that, just because I thought it was funny as fuck. Like, who tucks his shirt in to be neat? Nato and shit like that. I don't know. I'd be like making them jokes like just in the car sometimes. I'm like, who's about to buy that beef? Nato, like stupid shit, man. It's just catchy. It sticks with you.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm not mad about it.
Oh, you need a shirt.
It was a good split decision. Or what am I trying to say? Split second decision? Last second decision.
Oh no, you need a shirt, bro. Like Nato shirts like that. You know what I mean? Who made this beat shirts?
Yeah, no, that's probably a good idea. I think I definitely have to take advantage of that for branding for sure.
Oh fuck yeah, man! I mean, you've made me beats that obviously I haven't put them out yet, but I mean, I'll fucking wear a "Who Made This Beat" shirt in my video. That'd be dope.
Yeah, screw it.
Oh man, but my other question for you is what are some of the things that you're trying to do in the near future? So obviously we talked a little bit about albums. You have the podcast going. You have a lot of things going right now. But what's your main goal? Let's say in the next year, because like you've worked with people like Quedeca. I mean, you've worked with musicians from all over in the last year that's just passed. What's the future looking like for Joey Nato?
The main goal that I have right now is pretty much just to keep growing like my Spotify listeners and stuff like that. Like, I would love to just get to a point where, I could literally just make songs every day and, that could just be my life and I won't have to worry about anything else. But, yeah, I think I just want to get on a wave where I just could make just make music. I mean, making original songs is my favorite thing to do. Like, I took the YouTube route to kind of, go around a little bit, like find a different way around to promote my music and stuff like that, because everything else I was doing to that point wasn't like successful enough to like build a career out of. So, yeah, I mean, I got a bunch of features coming out with people that I didn't think I'd be able to feature with. And then, I don't know, that's the fun part, working with all these different people. So those are things that I'm excited about, but it's really just comes down to making original music, man. That's just that. When I think about what I want to do, that's really it. That's really all I want to do. The YouTube it's becoming a little bit more fun for me, which is great. But yeah, I just want to keep making music and maybe eventually, get a little bit more into like mentoring people and stuff like that, which is services I offer on like, another website and stuff like that. But if I could kind of give back with what I know, what I'm learning, what I'm still learning, because I'm still, learning new things every day, then that'd be it. But yeah, the answer to the question is just keep making, original music, the most creative or heartfelt music that I can, and growing the fan base and just becoming a music man. I don't know how to put it.
Oh, yeah. No, I know exactly what you're getting at. You and I, we've been friends about a year or so, and even from the beginning, man, like our earliest conversations, you always kind of would give me little tips along the way. I think that you naturally have that mentoring type, presence to you. I think you want to pass on the knowledge that you've gained because you've had trials and errors, and, you see young artists and you're like, man, I don't want you to have to go through that. But on my end, I definitely appreciate that, man, and I appreciate you for, being that way in general, even when we met in Brooklyn, like in person finally, I definitely learned a lot of things. One thing that stood out to me, man, about that show was I remember at the end you looked at me and you said, yo, are you motivated? Because I'm fucking motivated tonight. I was like, yo, I was like, I am motivated. You know what I'm saying? And then, hey, look, podcast has been kicking off, and I got you on here now, brother. And I don't think that would have happened without those conversations along the way. So I appreciate you for that.
Yeah, no problem, man. Yeah, I remember I was kind of harsh with you that night about like getting stuff like done and stuff like that because you were putting some stuff off to the side that we were supposed to work on. And I was kind of like, I don't want to, I was basically like, I don't want to hear it. I just want you to send me the stuff that we need to do and stuff like that. Like all the talk is literally not going to get anything done. So
true.
Yeah, that's just, I don't know. That's just how I am because that's just, I don't know. Because I used to be the guy that just talked and never did anything. So, once the day I realized the simple concept that just talking about things doesn't do anything at all, it doesn't progress anything, is when I realized, it's, that's when work ethic kind of changed. And I just want to, help everybody else get work ethic. Because honestly, this music game, if you got talent, great, but not everybody has talent in this music game. Like, not everybody's born with just a God-given talent. Some people just got to develop skill, and the only way that's going to happen is with work ethic. You just got to work hard. You got to work hard as hell in this game.
Absolutely, man. And you know what? Yeah, well appreciated, man. Words I needed at that time, especially. It's funny too how like when you're ambitious as a musician and you got life also and you try to balance the two, there comes a point where you got to make that decision. You know what I'm saying? And I think we all hit that crossing point as musicians at times.
Yeah, no, there's always sacrifices to make for sure. But that's all part of the game too. It comes down to, how bad you want it and stuff like that. So.
Fucking that night in Brooklyn was definitely fun, man. Being able to hang. It was you, me, Vin, Jay, Crypt, Blake was there too. Man, that was a really fun show, man. Like, how was it seeing Crypt play for the first time? Because that was the first time you saw him perform, right?
Yeah, Samad Savage was there too.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. He's starting to make a name for himself in our community and stuff like that.
Oh,
so
he's
that's
fucking
pretty dope.
awesome, man. I forgot, though, that he was on that bill because I didn't actually meet him face-to-face that night.
Yeah, he didn't perform, but he just came out and just showed love, basically.
Oh, that's badass.
But, yeah, no, that was my first time seeing Crypt performing live and stuff like that. So, I mean, that was, it was definitely good vibes that night. Like, me and Vin J were pretty much in close talks the whole night, which was cool because, I had a bone to pick with him about certain things, about getting things done. But, yeah, it's always good to, talk to people in person, which is something I can't wait to do again when the world normalizes.
Fuck yeah.
But, yeah. Yeah, man. No, that was good vibes that night. And that was the last time I ever went out.
Yo, that's what I was just about to say. That was the last concert I went to. And the way that it's looking, there ain't going to be no concerts for a while, bro. Like, literally, Crypt show might have been the last concert we get to go to in 2020. That's quite a thought, right?
Yeah. Hopefully it's not for the whole year. But whether it is or not, I'm okay with that. I'm content with that. The important thing right now is definitely to stay safe and stuff. This is something I take pretty serious because I'm an asthmatic. So, like, I got to stay my ass home.
Yeah, of course.
Which I'm cool with. Luckily, I'm an artist and a producer and a YouTuber and a mix engineer. So, this is fine for me. I'm good.
Fuck yeah, man. Nah, yeah, and I think that's awesome, man. I put up a picture that night of that show and it said 4 rappers in Brooklyn. I think that's the most liked photo I ever had on Twitter, man. I thought that was pretty cool too. So thank you guys for the Twitter clout game.
For the clout. Yeah. It's all about the clout. No, yeah.
Yeah,
no,
right?
It's no problem. That'll be a memorable picture for years to come. So.
Oh fuck yeah, man! We'll look back on that and be like, "Holy shit! Look at us in our fucking 20s." Look at us, man. We're losing it. So as we're wrapping up, man, obviously we talked about different pieces of your career, but I didn't even hit like one of the things that really helped you hit on YouTube, which was the Music Producer Reacts. What was the mentality behind starting that series, and what has it done for your career? How has it helped you out? Like how has
So,
it helped you grow? That's really what I meant to ask.
Music Producer Reacts was what catapulted everything by far. I mean, luckily, I wouldn't have been able to do Music Producer Reacts if I hadn't been doing music for so many years and learning things along the way, because, when the camera's on and you have to react to something, and the way I react to things on that is by describing what I hear, and people are just fascinated by that, because I could describe things and tell them what I hear that people just never even think about listening for. So luckily I had that knowledge going into it from years and years and years of doing music. So that wouldn't have been possible without that knowledge. But this is all owed to my mentor on YouTube, or one of them. The main one, his name is Tristan. He has his own YouTube channel. Luckily, he's back at it now after a 4-month hiatus. But man, this guy just literally just gave me the idea, because he was doing vocal coach reacts on YouTube. And this is somebody I went to high school with.
Oh, okay.
And he was all after high school, when I was in college and stuff, he would hit me up, because I think we were Facebook friends or whatever, and he would always compliment my music, saying, "Yo, I really like your music. Eventually, he started a YouTube channel and was like, "Yo, I started it," and I still have the message when he was like, "Yo, I started this YouTube channel. I don't really know where it's going or anything like that, but I'll keep you posted, blah 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 blah." And to this day, I think he just hit 2 million subscribers, or he has over 2 million subscribers now. But
wow.
Yeah, but I still remember the beginning parts of it. But yeah, I was out of touch with him for a while, and then one day I saw him on a live stream playing his guitar, and he was hard as hell to get in touch with at this time, because he was starting to blow up and everything. And then I caught him on a live stream while at work. I snuck away to watch him on this live stream, and then I commented on it just to get his attention. And he was like, Joe, you're in here? He knew exactly. He recognized me right away, and then said, "Joe, if you're listening, you need to start doing reaction videos and a series called Music Producer Reacts."
Oh, no shit.
Reacts.
He said it right on the live stream.
Yeah, he said either Music Producer Reacts or Rapper Reacts.
Oh, that's awesome.
He was like, if you do Music Producer Reacts, then talk about what you hear. Oh, that snare drum sounds cool, or I like that piano, stuff like that. Because he was like, I would listen to that, or I would watch that if I was watching it. So you should do it, Joe. And then that night, after a lot of procrastination, because he was telling me to do reaction videos for a long time, I was like, all right, let's do this. And that's how it came about.
Oh, that's awesome. I remember when you dropped the reaction to Unstoppable last year, the song I did with Jekyll and 10K, and it was so funny, because I was like, when I saw it dropped, I was like, holy shit, and I had a nervousness about it, but when I watched it too, I really loved how you broke it down so different than I expected, and I had seen your series, but I just love how you're like, oh man, yeah, a little bit of horns here, a little bit, you really try to break down the intricacies, and that's really awesome, man.
Yeah, that's I don't know. That's just now that's kind of just what comes natural whenever I watch something or react to something. That's just what I do. I just go into detail about the music, and that helps me stand out. And that's kind of what you need to do on YouTube, is do something that helps you stand out, something that nobody else is doing. So
one of the common themes of the show, Joey, is trying to relate to these younger listeners and the audience that you didn't come up overnight, man. This has been a long grind, and your hard work's just now kind of paying off, right? And I just want to kind of relay that this was not an overnight success story for you. You've been working at this a long time.
Yeah, I think we definitely, with everything that we talking about the whole timeline and everything like that, if people still think it's something that happened overnight, then they weren't listening.
No, absolutely.
Hard enough.
Absolutely, but that is kind of the theme of this show, generally speaking, and I think that it's important, because I think a lot of young artists, they see got people like yourself, people like Crypt, people that are like attaining success in that space, and they may get discouraged or they may feel like, hey, look, I'm never gonna reach there. But you know what? It's hard work, it's persistence. You've been at it since, like you said, like middle school, man, with the music itself, but you've been at it for a long time online, trying to push and in different ways, and it takes a long time to find the right recipe for you.
Yeah, it's been like, I don't know, like only the last 2 or 3 years is when things started to finally like look up. So it's like, I don't know. There's times where I wanted to quit. There's times where I kind of quit. Like I tried to quit, but it sounds corny, but the music basically just kept calling me, and just like I couldn't stop making it. So that's when you kind of just know. Like moments like that is when you just know that like this is what you love to do. This is your passion. So if anybody's passionate about things and it's been 10 years, 12 years, boo-hoo. If you love it, keep going for it.
That's right.
Because, if you really love it, you won't care when you get it.
Yo, that's so true, man. I had an experience back in 2010, and I had a falling out with the band I was with. I mean, it cost me a tour. It cost me a high-produced album. They ended up producing it themselves over at Killingsworth Studios in Farmingdale. I don't know if you know that spot. But, I kind of got screwed out of a couple of things at the time. And I felt like, you know what, fuck music. I'm not even going to go that route. And within a few months, Medicine Spoon was born. So that's the thing, man. Music does indeed call you. If you're an artist, you're going to find yourself writing one way or another.
Yeah, absolutely. And you'll find a way to make it happen. If you really want to make it happen. So it's a long road, man. I get so many emails from like young artists saying, let's do a song together. I want to do a song with you. I want to be big like you and Crypt and Quadeca and all this stuff. That's all, and Screw. That's like the 4 people that they always name.
Yeah.
But it's like it's just like, man, first of all, I ain't even big. Second of all, if you let me hear your music right now and you're talking like that, you probably suck. But just know that sucking is part of the process. You have to be terrible at this at first. It's all part of the process, and you never think you're terrible at first. Everybody thinks they're the hottest thing out.
Oh, for
when
sure.
they first make songs. So it's things will happen when it's supposed to happen, and usually it's when you get really good at what you do. Ironically, coincidentally, right? As soon as you get good, then things start taking off for you.
It's a lot of fucking humble pie, man, in between. That's all it is. You eat that fucking humble pie, motherfucker.
For people who know, for young artists that know they're not good when they're first starting, they're ahead of the game already. They're definitely ahead of the game, because that was not me. That was not me. I was recording on a Walmart mic, like with the microphone up to the speakers so you can hear the instrumental in the background.
Oh, man.
Recording it, microphone popping left and right, thinking like, yo, this is it. This is the one that's going to take me to the top. So,
man. You used to do songs, bro. You remember when digital cameras and you could just convert the video to audio? That used to be kind of like a thing.
Video, I never did anything like that.
Oh no! I would record like this riff on guitar, like on the fucking, film it on the camera, right? I'd turn it into audio. Then I'd fucking like play the track on speakers, sing over it, record the. Oh man, like I had a terrible process, and when I was like 13, 14, because obviously I didn't have equipment and shit like that. But it's just funny how it goes from really ghetto to you grow into a proper setup.
Yeah, that's I was doing a similar thing. I think what I just described, what I was doing, isn't really any much better. Like the mic I was using was supposed to be used for like video calls and stuff like that. So it's like it was not meant for music recording at all. So I just used whatever I had, which everybody should. If it's your Turtle Beaches, or I don't even know if you could record with Turtle Beaches, but whatever you got, just use whatever you got to record, your phone, whatever it is. Just use it for now, just to learn to love the process. And then, when I was 16, 17, I got a job and I used the money for that job and just poured it into like getting a computer, then getting a keyboard, then getting a microphone and little things here and there. Like I had a minimum wage job just to save up and buy, most of my equipment. So it's doable. You just gotta be a little patient until that money starts coming in, and then it's up to you how you want to spend that money, especially when you're living at home with your parents. You got no excuse. If you love this music and want to do this music, that money's got to go into the music.
That's right.
There's no way around it.
Patience and investment. Patience and investment.
Yes.
That's for fucking sure.
Yes. Absolutely.
Oh, shit. That should be another Nato shirt, man. Patience and investment.
I would have to like present it in an iconic way somehow.
Yeah, right?
Maybe if I'm ever on another Cypher again, that's the first thing I'll say.
Oh, shit. And I'll always remember it came out of this podcast today.
Yeah. It's not as catchy as Who Made This Beat, but,
Oh, man. Yeah, right. It's like when it's said the right way, it's like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then it's like, oh, shit, that shit don't rhyme with nothing.
Yeah, nah, yeah.
Oh, man, that's fucking
We'll just remember it from being on here.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, it's a little tidbit in time, ladies and gentlemen. You all just received a moment in time.
Yeah.
Joey,
one thing that you could start doing and one thing that I would probably recommend is to make your episodes stand out. I don't know if you do it. I don't see it on YouTube at least, but is putting like a subtitle with your podcast episodes so people know like what main points were hit. You know what I mean? And like you could call this one like patience and investment. Like so that way people will be like, oh, that sounds like interesting to learn about. That maybe you could word it a different way. I don't know if
that's a great idea. Like every episode, because that's true, man. At the end of these episodes, I do walk away feeling like there was an overall theme to it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit! Well, thank you for that. I like that. This episode is called Patience and Investment.
There you go. Because that's exactly what it takes. And at least that's what it takes for me. I mean, there is stuff like TikTok out there where you could literally go viral, but you still got to be good.
Yeah, there has to be substance for it to last.
Even if you do go viral, you better have something to follow up with it too.
I think that's the thing, man. I think a lot of people they got something that'll pop them off, but they don't necessarily have the follow up.
Yeah, and then what? Yeah, so that's why you got to be prepared for these situations.
That's right. Preparation meets, I don't know. Vin J said it when we talked, man. Preparation meets some shit. He fucking nailed it. I always forget
probably when preparation meets opportunity.
Thank you. That's
something
it. When
happens.
Preparation meets opportunity.
Yeah. True words from the wise Vin J, who's coming out with an album soon.
Yeah, Prophecy, man. Holy shit.
Prophecy. Sorry, I said prophet.
Oh man, I'm proud of him, man. He's come a long way, and he's come a long way just on the basis of his music too, and that's fucking impressive on its own. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's someone who went viral. He went super viral, but he had stuff to back it up. He wasn't just a one-time thing. So that's a good example right there.
Absolutely. He had the talent, and he had been building for that moment, and it worked out for him in the long run. Him and Dax, I look at them, and I got a lot of respect for them because just on the basis of their music alone, they've grown so much. And that's a tough thing, man.
Yeah, they deserve to be where they are with their work ethic, their talent, sharpening their skills. It's just, man, I should probably vlog more or something. And, my friend Robert Vanacore, who shoots a lot of my videos, he's always in my ear about vlogging. And I think it would be cool to give people more of a background of the work that goes in behind the scenes, because people just see the finished product most of the time. And I think that'd be cooler for like us creators to really take more serious the behind the scenes process and things like that, so people really get a wake up call on what it takes to make these things happen.
I think the audience wants to invest in, whoever they're watching. And I think that vlogging or, even the reactions themselves, it's like you guys are letting in the audience on a bit of yourself. But vlogging is obviously taking it to the next level. But it would grow you, man, because people would connect to you on a deeper level. That's what I want in the show. When I do interviews with people, I want the audience to get to know the artists a little bit better and their story, because I feel like they'll better connect to you guys.
Yeah, I never talk about any of these things. I would talk about them in like songs and stuff like that, but it's different than me actually just sitting here and just saying the words how I want to say them and stuff. So yeah, I mean that's having your guests on your podcast is definitely dope. Like when you had Todd on and Dizzy 8 on, like I was like, yo, I legit want to know like what's going on through these guys' minds, because every time I hear them talk, Todd is just screaming at their, saying the most derogatory, vulgar words I could possibly think of at the camera. So I'm not really learning much about him there. And then Dizzy 8 is just rapping like a maniac. So it's like, okay, well, I still don't know what these people are like. So, your podcast actually gave me like some insight on these people. So,
I'm glad to hear that, man. That's goal accomplished right there, man. And I have a lot of respect for you. So that nod of approval definitely means a lot to me, and I appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, no doubt, man.
That being said, Joey, I want to thank you for coming on the That Being Said podcast. I appreciate your time. You and we connected a year ago. You bust my chops time to time in a good way and always try to motivate me. And you're a big reason why this show even exists. So for that, I thank you, and I appreciate your time today. And I hope to have you back on, man, in the near future.
Yeah, man. Hell yeah. Just let me know. This was fun. This was definitely enjoyable. There was a lot of weird stuff going on outside my house during all this, but I try to stay focused. And, it worked out well. I had fun.
Yeah, right? And you know what? I think that what's cool is that we can just jump off of each other on any topic, and I like that kind of chemistry that I've had with a lot of my guests. And I like that it doesn't have to be linear, right? Like, Joey, what is your first day of music? You know what I mean? Like, it evolves and the conversations are real.
Yeah, and that's how it should be, man. A lot of people, luckily, in our community are very personable, and I think that goes a long way and is, a big reason why, you could do stuff like this with podcasts and have it work out, because there's not, a lot of the people like that we work with and talk to on a daily basis are just genuinely good people.
Agreed.
You included. So that goes a long way. Absolutely, man. And you know what? You're one of them, brother, and I appreciate you. Thanks, man. All right, man. Yeah. So we will talk soon, my brother, and have yourself a wonderful, wonderful weekend. All right, man. You too.